Hello and welcome to Lockdown Mathematics. Today we're going to be looking at some calculus examples for first principles. Okay, so the first example we're going to be dealing with is calculating for 2x minus 3 and finding it. Okay, in the previous video before I mentioned that to find the derivative we used the general formula g prime x is equals to the limit as h approaches 0 for g of x plus h minus g of x divided by h. Okay, the easiest way to do these problems is to separate them into parts. So the first part we're going to look at is the g of x plus h part. Okay, so wherever you see x, you're going to substitute h. So here we got x by the 2x and we will have h in brackets. It's important to keep your brackets so you do not mess up the sign. So multiplying your 2 into x and h, you get 2x plus 2h minus 3. The next step you will do is you will then subtract the original function g of x from g of x plus h into the formula. So g prime x is equals to the limit as h approaches 0 for 2x plus 2h minus 3 minus in brackets 2x minus 3 divided by h. The 2x minus 3 will cancel and you're left with 2h divided by h. The h and h will then fall away and you're left with the limit as h approaches 0. We keep the limit until we substitute and get our final answer. So if you substitute h equals 0, then you will get an answer of 2. Okay, let's move on to our next example. The next example says that we need to find the derivative of f of x equals 4x cubed using first principles. Okay, so here's another very good problem that could come out in your exams. So the first step is to write down the original equation, and then the next step we're going to be taking is to separate these parts and recombine them at the end. Okay, so wherever I see x, I am going to put an h. So in the original expression, we got 4x cubed, so it will become 4x plus h cubed. Alright. Now, if I'm going to subtract f of x, it's going to be minus 4x cubed, all round divided by h. Now, what's important here is how you FOIL out this, because when you FOIL out, you're going to notice that here we're going to have 4 terms, not 3 because it's cubed. So here we got 4 into x cubed plus 3x squared h plus 3xh squared plus h cubed minus the original function 4x cubed divided by h. Notice that the 4x cubed and the 4x cubed cancels. Okay, and so we're left with an expression all in terms of h. So the next thing we can do is we can take h as a common factor out. Okay, so that's what we do to cancel the h. Now it's time to substitute our h equals 0. So this will become 0, that will become 0 because of h. And our final answer is 12x squared. Okay, so they say calculate f prime at the value x equals 0.5. So you found the derivative to be 12x squared. So wherever you see x, you're going to put 0.5. So 12 times half squared will become 12 times a quarter, which becomes 3. Okay. And our last example for today is finding the derivative of p with respect to x for the function minus 2 over x. Now here, what you're going to be doing is, as mentioned in my previous videos, that 1 over any x to the power n is equals to x to the minus n. And so that's the rule we're going to use here when solving this problem. So write down the formula for the derivative using first principles. Right, that's the original formula. Now wherever I have x, I'm going to substitute h. So minus 2 over x will become minus 2 over x plus h. Alright, and we're going to minus the original function, keeping the bracket. So minus 2 over x. Alright, which will become plus 2 over x divided by h. Okay, so what we can do here is we can pull our 1 over h to the side as a common factor. And what you're going to do with these two fractions in our numerator is to find LCD. And so this is the result of LCD. So x times minus 2, x plus h times 2, all around divided by x times x plus h. And so here you're going to get minus 2x plus 2 into x plus h divided by x into x plus h. If you multiply this out, you're going to get minus 2x plus 2x plus 2h divided by x squared plus xh when you multiply the denominator out, which will then give you the limit as h approaches 0 for 1 over h into 2h over x squared plus xh. Now notice the h's cancel over here. And so in my final substitution, when I sub in h equals 0, this x plus h will fall away. That will be 0. And so you will be left with 2 over x squared as your final answer. Okay. Alright, so another thing before we close off this video is going back to example 1, we use the first principles rule to calculate our derivatives. So a good habit is to use rules for derivatives before you start the question to double check if your answer is correct. So to find the derivative of g of x, so to find g prime, it's going to be the derivative of 2x will be just its coefficient 2, and the derivative of any constant is 0, so minus 3 becomes 0, and so therefore your answer here is 2. And after going through first principles, you can see that it is true. In the second example, we have 4x cubed, so the derivative here, using rules for derivatives, is 3 times 4, which is 12, x to the power 3 minus 1 is 2. And there we go, we're done with that. Okay, and then in example 3, we had minus 2 over x. That's the same thing as minus 2 x to the power minus 1 as the function. And if I find the derivative of this, minus 1 times minus 1 is plus 1. So therefore, you're going to get plus 2 in the front here because of the 2 being the coefficient. Right, x to the power minus 1 is minus 2. And to rewrite this back as a positive exponent, it just becomes 2 over x squared. Right, using this rule that I mentioned here. Okay, so I hope this video was of good help to you. And if there's any questions that you had, drop a like, drop a comment, and I'll be happy to look at them. Until then, goodbye.